this is Chris Petrie. Thanks so much for coming by. We're going to do this wonderful, fun house here in the countryside, winter scene, snow, trees, pine trees. We have some interesting architectural features. We do a figure toward the end of the painting. We'll do a quick sketch in the beginning. We'll show you how to use a ruler and use your charcoal to get some good straight lines for your architecture on this one, and we'll plan out where we're going to get things, onto the canvas here, hardboard canvas. And of course, this will be on camera at all times, the colors we're going to use, so I'll show you all the mixes of colors as we're working to accomplish this painting. And we're just going to have a fun time taking our time and planning everything out as we go, and just covering all the details that you need to accomplish this. So we'll get started in just a second. All right, so we saw the finished painting. Always very helpful to see that finished product of what everything winds up looking like. Everything, all the colors, the textures, the tonal values, the darks, the lights of the painting. So I guess I'll just run down a quick bit of materials here and supplies. We're using the Winsor Newton paints that are, actually we'll cover the paints when we get ready to paint. So I'll cover the paints, but I have a water bucket over here on the right hand side. It's incidentally, all my supplies are down below in this description box below. I like to put it there, all the materials and things that I use, the supplies, so that you have it if you want to research it or check out the prices of everything. And I always say too that I use all my art supplies, whether it's brushes, papers, water buckets, whatever it is. I have used all of the products that you see below, and I can say that they are really perform great. So I'm not going to put anything down below in my materials list and my supplies unless I've used it for a long time and it works great. And that's really how I kind of do it. I wouldn't share, something I haven't tried or something like that. So anyway, I use some tape. This is really good tape, 3M Scotch 3M tape, and the number is number 2020. And it's like a 1-inch tape, approximately 1-inch tape, about 3/4. Yeah, it's a 1-inch tape, and it's great. It's got some good, stickiness to it, but it's not, too difficult that it's a hard time. It lifts up pretty easily too when you're done working with it, and it traps any kind of, if you're doing watercolors or oil paints, it traps the medium within your composition and doesn't let things leak underneath it and so forth. That's really important for tape to have that virtue. And then I just have a hardboard here, my oil painting hardboard, and some wax paper. This is called palette paper. And I have just my phone here, and what I'll do is I think what we'll do is we'll just do a quick little, we'll kind of see that if we measure our paint or, the photograph here, and we say, where's a good starting point to start sketching this, and just put some charcoal lines on here just to get a rough idea of where things are. 3 inches is the screen of the phone, and I can see that 1.5 inches is about right here. So the house is a little bit lower than halfway. So if I go here and say, all right, the halfway point here is, let's say 4 inches is 2 inches. So 2 inches is halfway on my canvas. It's a little bit lower than halfway. So I would maybe say I would go 2.25. So that's where I'd start my house, a little bit lower than halfway. So that's the horizontal halfway of the painting right across here. And this will be the bottom of the house here. And then we can just take that, you can always use a ruler if you want to. And get some straight lines for yourself. That always is something that you can take advantage of, using rulers to get, especially with architecture. You can use T-squares like this, and you can take the T-square and rest it right on the edge of the hardboard, and this way you get a perfect, we'll do that, we'll get a perfect plumb line here. So I'll rest the T-square like this, and don't worry about the outside lines of the tape. This would be our straight line here. So we can rest this T-square anywhere across this composition and get a perfect straight line like that, anywhere. And the same thing this way too. You can come over here and use this T-square like this, and then, you know, slide it on that edge. So what I'll do is, I'll notice that this house is a little bit this way here. So we'll do it like this. We'll get that line there, like that. So that's the left side. Then we'll come over here and we'll say, well, that's almost halfway across the picture. You can even take a ruler and measure it this way and say, okay, 3 inches this way, and 1.5 inches is right around this point here of the house, the corner of the house, the right corner of the house, if we're looking at it, facing it. So again, the halfway point here, if we use this, is, let me use some, 1, 2, all right, so that's 6, 7 inches. So 3.5 inches is halfway to 7. That would be our corner of the house over here. And then we have our roof, and we can make our roof, we could do it by feel, like this, like that. That looks pretty good. And we could go back there with the roof like that. And then we would just keep this line here the same as this. So these two angles would be the same, like that. And sometimes we just notice that this side will be a little bit lower than this side of the roof here, because this is a little further away over to the left. So that's why this is the corner of the roof eave here. And you'll notice if I went across here, this roof eave is just a little bit lower, and that kind of gives you a good fix on where you'd put this angle coming down this way. Does that make sense? It kind of is lower than this one here. Just to give you that, it just kind of tricks the eye into thinking that this is further away and, you know, going away in the distance, and this is closer to us like this. And I think that's really it. And then we can just go in and we can make a window here and then a door over here, like that. So we'll stick to this format. And then there's another door over here. And again, to get straight lines, you could use a ruler like that and just get some straight lines. There's some steps over here. And then a couple more windows. And we just keep the windows level with the top of the door. So you'd want to make your windows like that. Level with the top of the door, like that. And again, we're going to paint over this, so we're just trying to get ourselves started here somewhat. And there's another window there. And there might be another vent up. There's like a vent up here in the gable of the wall here. A bit of a vent there. And I think over here too we have a chimney. So we could put that chimney up here like this. Like that. And already we've got a good feel for this. And then our trees here, we'll just put an indication of this tree. See how we do that? Just we get the basic, you know, few things that we need to get into this composition we want to have in there. So this is another tree over here next to this larger tree. We just remember to put another smaller one next to it, like that. And then over here, all the way over on this side, we have dark forest and dark trees, pine trees back there. So this is a beautiful countryside, wintertime scene. It's snowing, beautiful, cool, cold, crisp air. We imagine we're there, and then maybe we have some more larger trees here, maybe a few large bits of, you know, of this trunk of the tree here coming into the picture there, just to kind of give it kind of like a bookend feel where you have some dark trees over here, a dark tree here, and some more dark bushes and things and other trees in the background. And that's all we really need. And then we have some fun. We'll put the background here, the back of the yard of the house, and the same thing over here. And then we'll have a little bit of a road coming in like this. There's a little bit of a road coming in like this, like that. And maybe some fence posts here. And then we can make some interesting that'll give us a little bit of a we'll change it a little bit. We'll put some fence posts over here like this, like that. That'll give us a nice feeling of like angles and curves coming into the leading us into the house. And that's a good thing if we can have some things that kind of help our eyesight to move around in the painting. So I think this looks good now. What we'll do is we'll take a quick break. When we come back, I'll cover my colors. We're just going to keep it a simple composition like this here with the colors, the color scheme, let's call it. We're going to use some golds, browns, dark blue, some, blue for the sky. But we're going to cover how we can keep this a very limited palette and, kind of in like that Andrew Wyeth tradition, something like that where we're not going to really make it a very, especially in wintertime, right? Wintertime when that cloud cover happens and there's snow, a little bit of flurries, and there's not much sunlight and things like that. It tends to be sometimes that the colors do look kind of diminished and really mellow and grayish. So we're going to kind of capture that mood, and we'll just push it a little more toward the simpler colors and not so much bright colors, but more, grayed down colors, so to speak. All right, we'll be right back with our paints, and we'll get started with the painting. All right, so we're going to get ready to paint. Let's move our phone up here, and we'll have this up here for our reference, like that. And I would say let's keep our colors. We'll use some gold, cerulean blue, French ultramarine blue. We'll put a little bit of green out, a little bit of alizarin crimson. So we're going to kind of put our colors out here. So we have, of course, yellow ochre, French ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, cerulean blue, phthalo green. Trying to think, and then we'll have a little bit of burnt umber too. And definitely white. We're going to use quite a bit of white on this. We're going to probably try to maybe, white's going to be, because of all of the snow in the scene, we're going to definitely use quite a bit of white. All right, let's get started. These are the colors. Again, all Winsor & Newton artisan line of paint, which is water mixable. Remember, all you need to paint with water mixable oils, water, that's it. And when you clean up your brushes and your hands and whatever, warm soapy water, and that's all you need. So there's no solvents or anything like that, like paint thinners, and you don't even have to worry about that. Let's say you have some experience with oil painting and you're just watching for fun or getting some ideas from me. That's fine if you're already using regular oils and it's a learning curve on that kind of thing. So if you're just starting out, or if you're kind of like on my channel and you are like a newer oil painter, artist, like myself, I've been painting oils. I've worked with oils a long time ago when I was very, very young, when I was a teenager, and did some work with oils, but not so much in the, maybe the last couple of years I've been working with some oils like these. I use these because, again, it's just the cleanup's easy. There's no worries about solvents and any kind of like fumes, things like that in my studio. But again, this is perfect for your first couple years if you're just starting out with oil painting, because there's really just no fussing around with any of that stuff with the thinners and solvents and all that kind of thing. And then maybe after 2 or 3 years, you really want to get into it. Yeah, you can start studying about all those things that go with using regular oils, which is there's a learning curve for that, and that takes time to learn that, and you have to do research, and there's a lot of people with a lot of different ideas out there, so you have to be careful who you're going to listen to when you start researching on those type of things. So I always just say, we're better off using the water mixable oils for the start. And then maybe if we really get into this and we want to paint like full-time oil painting, then maybe we start researching all the different things that you can work with regular oils. But these, again, are fantastic. You get great results with this. So let's stick with these. And what we'll do is I'll get the white first here on the paper here. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm on the screen here. Good. We got a good amount of white there. A lot of snow in this scene, so we're going to definitely need a good bit of white. And then we're going to we'll use burnt umber. That's going to be our nice earth tones. And I don't go really overboard with putting out a lot of paint. I mean, I do put out some here, you can see, but I don't like squeeze out a ton of paint. That's alizarin crimson there. And you can always, again, when you're done, you can always put this in a plastic bag, this paper, in a large Ziploc bag, and kind of makeshift something like a tray. You could even use like some kind of a baking tray or something like that, and then you could put this into the baking tray, this sheet, then put it in a plastic bag with a Ziploc, and then these paints will stay fresh and moist for a long time, actually. So you can actually save your paints and not, discard them, because they're, they cost money, and so let's save them a little bit. So I do save my paints. I tend to just take this paper and fold it and put it in a plastic Ziploc bag. And then if I want to finish up the painting, I can do a little more to the painting, and I have all my colors right here. So that's phthalo green. Probably don't need a whole lot of that. Cerulean blue. That's going to be our sky color, and we'll mix that around too. The painting, same thing with our French ultramarine blue. And some yellow ochre. And I'm just putting them on this paper any old way. I'm not really using any method to it. I just put the colors down there, and I can work. I've been painting for a long time, so to me, I can put the colors out. But if you want to use more of a methodical way of putting your colors on your palette paper, like in a color wheel, sometimes I'll use a color wheel type, setup on my colors. That's helpful too. But right now, we're doing more of a limited palette. We're not going to use too much mixing. So I'll start out with a brush. Maybe this is the number 4 Bright brush by Princeton, Aspen series. What I'll do is, let's see if I can get this back. We'll have that there. What I'll do is I'll just start putting in some white. And I'll have a paper towel in hand all the time. I don't want too much water on this, actually, but the idea, again, is go thin when you start your first part of your paintings, when you're just, when you're first getting into your painting, and start out real thin with your paint. And I'm going to go right in with the roof, which we know has the white snow. So I'm going to put that right in there like that. The sky has some white paint in it, so I will and you can paint right over your charcoal. You don't have to worry about it because you have your painting here now to work from. And you could always have your phone, maybe, like you could have your phone with my painting. When we have our painting in the beginning of the video, you can pause your phone, and then maybe if you're sitting at your home computer, at your desktop computer, then you can have your phone with the painting paused on your phone, and then you can use that for your reference and you don't have to worry about it. So that's a good way to do it. Okay, so the sky, I wanted to get, that white. And then also here, the foreground. And again, I'm not going to worry about it. If anything, I just like to put the charcoal on the paper. It helps me to kind of like, I'll remember what I did with my charcoal. We'll remember what we did with our charcoal drawing when we were actually working on the sketch. So it's easier than when we go back now and we're just looking from the photograph. We'll just remember, oh yeah, I remember I did the fence posts up here. Or you might want to change it around too and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to stick with what this is here. I'm going to just put a couple fence posts over here and I'm going to leave the rest open. Because actually I did think maybe those fence posts I drew in the beginning here might have looked like it was blocking off maybe a feeling of blocking ourselves from going into the painting. So maybe it wasn't a great idea. But that's where you can have fun and experiment with your paintings, change things around. Don't feel locked into any one thing when you start your painting. So you see how I got a good thin layer of the white pretty much in the sky, in the foreground. Wherever there's a lot of snow, that's where I put the white to start with. And we can always add more white later on top of whatever we paint, but that's it. That's kind of good. You can even put a tiny bit on the walls if you want. Just maybe a little bit here and there. That'll be something we can mix in with the other colors. So this will kind of be a really nice, the white is going to be a good or underpainting, the first glazing. And this is much like you would see the Bob Ross paintings when they do like a wet first glazing on their oil painting. So that it's really nice to paint on a wet first glazing like this. Everything goes smooth when you're doing that. So I think what I'll do next is I'm going to go in and get some of that gold, yellow ochre, and a little bit of burnt umber, so that'll make it a little bit darker. Maybe a touch of that phthalo green, like this. That looks really good. So you take just a tiny bit of that phthalo green into that gold, yellow ochre, and that really looks good. Maybe a little bit. So you can mix around a little bit, some blue, cerulean blue, like that. And you're going to mix yourself some varieties of color mixes like this, and then some French ultramarine blue down into that with a little more yellow ochre, like that. So then you have kind of some good color mixes with that. And I think, and a little bit of red too. Let's add a little bit of red to that. A little bit of the alizarin crimson. Okay, and that looks great. Let's start using this goldish color. And this is the only problem I have with my phone is it really, I think I reset it. I did one of those resets, when you take your phone and you do an update, and what happens is when I did the update, this thing is shutting off like way too quick. I used to have it set for like 10 minutes or something. I don't know what happened, but I'll have to fix that later. Not going to do it now. All right, there we go. Let's just take that golden color and get it on there. And look how good that looks. Wow. And we'll take some of the red. A little bit of red in there. And you always remember, as you're working, you're always going to have time and freedom to go back and touch things up. add things to your glazings with your oil. You can, if you feel you've added something too much, you can always take a piece of tissue or paper towel and tear down some smaller pieces into squares, and then you can fold things like this. And sometimes if you feel like you've made a mistake and you went over something too much, you can always lift up a little bit of, you can lift up some paint if you want, like that, slide it across, to get a straighter edge or something like that. So you can do a little bit of fix-ups as you go, and you don't have to worry. And then we wanted to take a little more of this blue and brown, French ultramarine blue and brown, a little bit of red, a little bit of the alizarin crimson. Maybe we'll get some of those darker bits here. And we're going to make this a quick painting. It's going to be a fun sketch, a fun composition. We're not looking to set the world ablaze with beautiful, incredible painting. We're having fun here and just getting some ideas down on our canvas and having a good time of it and practicing our fundamentals with our oil painting here. So that's what I'm doing. And that looks pretty good. And I'll go in with a darker bit of areas for the windows and the doors. And let's let this dry a little bit. So that's the thing you can do. You can let this it'll dry a tiny bit for you when you're working on your painting. Then we can go in and get a little more blue, maybe some phthalo green. Phthalo green, burnt umber, phthalo green, some blue. And that's going to give us, I think, a nice dark for those trees in the back. And just have a fun time getting some dark trees in the back there. Okay, and the same thing over here. And you can go in and grab some more warmer colors, maybe too. Add some of the red in there. And brown, maybe toward the bottom of the trees where it's a little bit darker. I'll rinse off my brush. Paper towel. And you can always go back in and change the colors a little bit. A little more green. So if I put too much red in there, fine. I could just go back in and get some more green. And then here, let's just start getting a couple of these trees in. Just a little mixture of everything in there. We did see a tree coming in like this. These are the larger branches and trunks of the tree. We'll use a smaller brush in a little bit to get some finer branches in there. This tree comes down a little bit like this here. And that's like that. Then we had another one here. And we'll take these two and this one, and we'll use a finer brush like this one here. Like this one here, we'll use this finer brush to do some of the finer twigs and things like that with the branches. But as you can see, we're really making some good progress here. Let's take a quick break now. It's always good, you know, when you're working, after about 15 or 20 minutes, maybe you take a break, just especially with oils, you have nothing to worry about. You can come back in an hour. If you had to do something for a few hours, you can come back even the next day. These dry really slow. The water mixable oil paints dry really slow. I mean, you can come back and it's almost going to be not much drier the next day. It'll be a little bit tackier, but easy to work on it the next day or even the next day or two. But let's do this. Let's come back in a few minutes and start working on the windows and the doors on the building, and we'll do a little bit of the sky wash. And then lastly, we'll do the road and some of the finer twigs and things, and also the fence posts, and we'll have a finished composition. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so we just took a quick break. Let's get back here and get moving on our windows and doors. I think we'll use the number 2, bright. We'll just use some of these same darks here, brown, red, blues, a little bit of gold, just a good dark. And then we had 2 windows and a door, so got a door there. And what's nice about these smaller compositions is you can really, with the brush, you can rest your hand on your table and just sort of, you're not leaning in the paint or anything like that. And then you can always use your hand to stabilize your hand if you need to, like this. And there's another window here, like that. And then we have another, let me get my reference photo again here. Okay, we had a window here and a door over here, like that. And that is how easy it is. We get our windows and our doors in here, maybe a little bit of a darker with some just straight blue there for the tops of the windows, maybe a little darker right under the bit of green, super dark right under the tops of the windows and doors, like that. And then maybe I'll rinse off my brush. I'll dry off the paint, rinse it off again. We'll make a chimney color here, maybe the little bit of gold in there too. Kind of like a reddish brown for the chimney. Looks good. And again, we're having fun here, enjoying the process. And I think we'll take again our number 2, or there's a number 4 actually, number 4 bright. Let's get some sky color in there with a touch of phthalo green. So cerulean blue with a little bit of and we'll touch a bit on the roof, the top of the roof line there. And we can mix in the white paint, the underpainting we did, the prime coat. And that's how we do it. We mix that blue and the white for the sky. And you can kind of feel that nice wintry sky maybe. We could make it a little more muddy up that blue a little bit. Maybe a little more. Like that. And I'm just having some fun flicking on the paint here, you know, for the sky wash. Skies are very windy, wintertime windy skies, so that brush strokes going quickly and would actually really just accentuate a good sky by having those type of brush strokes on there. And then again, we just a little bit of that sky along the top of the roof gives us that feeling of we can see the roof now, like that. Okay, it's coming along good, and we won't, you know, we're going to have a fun time here. Just let's kind of wrap things up here on this one. Let's get a little bit of that goldish color with the greens and the browns, kind of like a muddy color. And maybe we'll just get a little bit of that. So a little bit of that road in there. And I think that's good. A couple of dabs of paint here and there, just, you know, to kind of some darker bits. Bit of a stairs there, some stone stairs. Okay, and then I think I will rinse off the brush one more time, dry off the paint on a paper towel, dry paper towel. I'll get some white with a little bit of the gold color. Just I'll put a little bit of that gold, yellow ochre. And we'll make the back here, the snow back there. Then we'll use our 2/0 2/0 round. We'll pick up those browns and greens and golds, red, and we'll just get some branches here. And a little bit of foliage on the trees, pine trees. So you can instantaneously turn these into pine trees by just making the branches kind of level like this. This one here will leave like an oak tree or something. But that's pretty good. Then we can get a little bit of dark shadows underneath the eaves of the roof here. And I put a little bit of that dark bit of shadowing on the corner of the house here. And I just wanted to get a little bit of that darker bit there, just to have the roof and a couple more touch-up spots here. Maybe that's a pine tree there. Phthalo green and burnt umber makes a really good dark for the pine trees here. Okay, and then just a couple fence posts. And I think, yeah, those darks just fine. Couple like that. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. This is a lot of fun. Oil painting, and especially when we're doing a composition like this where we just have fun and work out some ideas. And then we'll lift up the tape. And we'll just see how it looks kind of isolated, but I think we have a good finished product here. And this acts as a mat, so this looks really good, you know, kind of a matte type feel. And you could put a mat over something like this, like you can make a smaller painting on a larger board and then put a nice cloth canvas, a mat, like a nice cotton mat. And you can research into that if you want to. Sometimes you'll see as you're finishing up your painting, you might have a few, a couple things you might see. Maybe we could use a couple bits of detail like that. A couple little quick up strokes with the brush just to get that feel. You could take some white, gold and white. Put a couple of bits of white on the branches maybe. And as we finish up our painting, we always notice that we have to use very thick paint when we're finishing up, because otherwise it won't the color will wind up like mixing in and we won't get the desired effect. So we have to add extra paint. Like for this white right now, I had to add a little bit of extra paint, and that might be nice. A little bit of like white for the snow on the roof over here. Like that. Then I can rinse off the brush, dry off the paint, pick up a little bit of the dark, and then just retouch up like that. Maybe we'll make a figure. We'll make a figure over here maybe. little tiny bit of paint on the top of the figure. Maybe we'll have a wheelbarrow or something like this. So we could put some figures in there. Maybe we have a wheelbarrow here. And you can even put a few more figures in if you want around the composition. And I'll just add a little bit of more dark there. Could put a railing here. A couple of details is fine. Maybe a chimney up there too, like a small vent pipe up there on the roof. And that's about it. I'm glad we're painting in oils, having a fun time. We'll be back again before you know it. We're painting usually every couple of weeks. Every 2 weeks we get together on a Sunday or Saturday, and we create some really nice paintings, compositions, and hopefully this one is a lot of fun for everyone. And thanks again for watching. And please, if you like this video, please thumbs up, and also too subscribe if you haven't subscribed. The only thing subscribing does, on the right hand side there's a subscribe button. What that does is whenever we make a new painting, you'll always get an alert on your YouTube homepage. Nothing like on your phone or anything like that. It's just YouTube wants to make sure you can see new videos by artists that you like when you're following different artists. So sometimes I know people, you might see a video that you like my video, and then you forget to save my video, and then a month or two goes by, and then you can't find me in the sometimes it's hard to find people. I've known myself, I've saw some really interesting artists, and then I went to go find them again, and I couldn't remember the person's name or whatever, so that's what subscribe is all about. Just this way you keep in contact, and also, you'll have me saved in your YouTube channel, so that you'll be seeing upcoming videos that we're doing. All right, so we're going to see you soon, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.